Hi class, in this lecture here we want to continue talking about financial mathematics by looking at loans. And specifically what we want to do here is we want to understand where a loan payment comes from. So it's like if you borrow money to buy a house or a car, it's basically like we're going to be figuring out or solving for finding out what your monthly payment is. Okay, finding the monthly payment of a loan. Okay. And so what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to work through some examples. I'm going to do basically an example where we look at a car loan and then where we look at a mortgage. Okay, so a loan that you pay off with weekly or monthly payments or payments in some other time period is called an installment loan. Okay, these are things like car loans or even in a mortgage is an installment loan. Okay, so the advantage of an installment loan is that the consumer gets to use the product immediately. Like if you get an installment loan for a car, you immediately get to take the car off the lot. If you get a mortgage, which is also an installment loan, you get to go immediately live in the house. But the disadvantage, you're going to see with these examples, the disadvantage is the interest can add a substantial amount to the cost of purchase, especially over time. Okay, so let's begin with car loans in which you make regular payments called fixed installment loans. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll work a mortgage loan example. All right, so here's the formula for fixed installment loans. So the regular payment amount, so this variable or this notation here called PMT. Okay, this is in our cases it's going to be our monthly payment amount in all our examples. Okay. Required to repay a loan of P dollars. Okay, so P here, P is how much you borrow. Okay. Okay, think about it as the total amount that you borrowed. Paid N times per year over T years at an annual rate R. Okay, so we got, N and T and R we see all the time in all the formulas we did, especially in the last lecture. Okay, so your regular payment amount, PMT, is equal to P, the amount you borrow, times R divided by N, divided by, and then down here in parentheses, you'll notice like a subtle difference compared to the formulas here. This one here, it's 1 minus, and then in parentheses, 1 plus R divided by N raised, and this is important, to the minus N times T power, the negative NT power. All right. And so, again, we're going to work through examples here, and you're going to see me do these problems in my graphing calculator emulator. And so what you'll want to do is as I do these problems, make sure that you follow along and then also retry the problems to make sure you get the same amounts, okay? All right, so here's our example with these car loans here. All right, suppose you decide to borrow $20,000 for a new car, okay? So this right here, this is my P, okay? This is how much I'm going to borrow, okay? And so when you go, you have to get a loan for it. When I bought my last car, I had to get a loan for it. So you can select one of the following loans, each requiring regular monthly payments. Okay, so that tells me then that N is going to be 12. And we're always going to do these monthly payments. All right, installment loan A, okay? They say, hey, look, you can have a 3-year loan. Okay, so that's T is equal to 3 years. And your interest rate will be 7%. Or they say, hey, you know what? You could have a 5-year loan. You could take more time, okay, to pay it back. But your interest rate then will be 0.09 or 9%. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to compare the two loans, all right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the monthly payments and total interest for loan A. Then we're going to find the monthly payments and total interest for loan B. And then what we're going to do is we're going to compare the monthly payments and the total interest for the two loans. And basically what you're going to notice here is you're going to notice a trade-off. Okay? All right, so let's do A. So for loan A here, so we got a 3-year loan at 7%. All right. So again, the amount you're borrowing, P, is $20,000. The rate here on this one is 7%. We're going to do a 3-year loan, all right, and you're doing 12 monthly payments. All right, so let's plug into the formula, and then we're going to have to just very, very carefully use our calculator here, okay? So it's going to be 20,000 times R, which is 0.07, divided by 12, and then divide by 1 minus, and then in parentheses, 1 plus 0.07 divided by 12 raised to the negative, okay, n, which is 12, times t, which is 3 years. All right, you're going to need your trusty calculator here, and be diligent as you work through this. Okay, so we'll start up here in the numerator. 0.07 divided by 12 times 20,000. So you should get this. 116.6666667 here. So remember, if we're going to do this piecewise, okay, what you're going to do is when you put this in the numerator, remember to go out like 6 decimal places here because we want to get this as exact as we can. So it's 116 and then 6 sixes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll round up the last one, 7. Divided by. All right, now be careful with this, okay? So watch how I do this, all right? I'm going to go 1 minus, and then in parentheses, 1 plus 0.07 divided by 12. Okay? And then I'm going to raise that, just this part, to the minus 12 times 3. Okay? So you have to be very, very careful when you plug this in. Very, very careful, okay? And I should get this. 0.1888, 1.188921. All right, so let's figure out what our monthly payment is here. Okay, so again, we're only doing 3 years at 7%. So we're going to go 116.666667 divided by 0.18891. And geez, wow, look at this. My monthly payment here, this is very expensive, is $617.54. Okay, so that's my monthly payment on this one. So the next part said find the total interest that you paid. Okay, find the total amount you paid in interest. So what this is would be the sum of all payments. Okay, so we got to figure out how much I paid when I add up all my payments minus the amount borrowed. Okay. Well, look, I'm paying each month $617.54. I'm making 12 monthly payments for 3 years. Minus, and how much did I borrow? Excuse me. Excuse me. I borrowed, sorry about that. Borrowed $20,000. All right. So I'm going to take my $617.54 times 12 monthly payments times for 3 years. So my total payments, I paid $22,231.44. Or 231.44 minus 20,000. So you end up paying excuse me, $2,231.44 in interest. Okay, it's a lot. It's a lot. Okay. All right, so now that was one loan option. Okay, so then now you have another loan option here. Then you could say, okay, hey, well, look. You could pay it over 5 years, but your interest rate will now be $9 or 9%. So no, $9. Sorry, 9%. Okay, so let's do B here. Okay, so again, your P, you're borrowing $20,000. All right. Here, your rate though is 9%. All right, and again, instead of 3 years, you're doing it over 5 years. And still you're doing monthly payments, so N is still 12. Okay, so things are gonna change slightly. All right, so $20,000 times my rate, which is 0.09 divided by N, which is 12, divided by 1 minus 1 plus R divided by N, so 0.09 divided by 12, raised to the minus 12 times 5 power, so the negative 5 times 12. All right, got to grab our calculator here. So I'm going to do the numerator. I'm going to go 20,000 times 0.09 divided by 12. So this one worked out nice and neat. The numerator is $150 there. All right, we got to do the denominator. So I'm going to do this all in one step with my calculator. And now just, be careful, be very diligent, okay? 1 minus, and then in parentheses, 1 plus 0.09 divided by 12. Close this parentheses, but raise that to the minus 5 times 12 power. And so you can see here, this is going to be 0.361300, okay? So when I go to do this now in my calculator, I'm going to go 150 divided by 0.3613. You don't even need the 00, but I'm going to put it in there. And look, your monthly payment's a lot cheaper, okay? It's like over $200 cheaper. So this is $415.17. All right, so now how are you going to find the interest, okay? So to find the total interest paid, again, it's equal to the sum of your payments, sum of all payments, minus the amount borrowed. Okay, so you have to remember this is a 5-year loan, okay? So your monthly payment is $415.17 times 12 months, but for 5 years, so we're times it by 5, minus this $20,000 that original amount you're borrowing. All right, so let's figure out how much we're gonna pay with all our payments, okay? So it's 415.17 times 12 times 5. So look, you over the course of this loan, okay, you're paying $24,910.20. So look at this. While you had a lower monthly payment, you're going to pay more in interest. So your total interest here is $4,910.20. All right, so how would you compare the two here? Okay. So look, loan A here. Loan A has a higher monthly payment, but you pay less interest. Okay. While loan B has a lower monthly payment, but you pay more interest. So it's a trade-off, you know? That's why, like, you know, when you have, if you can always take a loan over a shorter period of time, you're going to have a lower interest rate but higher monthly payments, okay? But if you're going to pay a loan back over a longer period of time, you're going to have higher interest, okay? But you're going to have these lower monthly payments. So it's a trade-off, you know, trade-off. You got to see what you can figure out. You know, financially, you know, it's, if you can pay a loan off better earlier, it's always a little bit better. Okay. Now let's talk about home loans. Okay? So we got a bunch of questions here. All right, so the price of a home. So you want to go buy your first home, and you know, the home price is $400,000. Okay, just whatever. So you want to buy this home, it's $400,000. The bank, though, is going to require you to put 20% of that down as a down payment. A lot of times, just as a little FYI, like, you can put down less than 20%, but then you have to pay an extra fee, what's called a mortgage insurance. So it's always better to put down 20% if you can. Okay, so then it goes on to say the cost of the home is financed with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage of 4.5%. Okay, so here's what we want to do. We want to find the required down payment. We want to find the amount of the mortgage. Then we want to find the monthly payment, and this is excluding taxes and insurance, escrowed taxes. So some people, just for a little edification, like, some people take their property taxes and just divide them up into your monthly payment and also their insurance payment. Some people, you know, for myself, for example, I just pay my property taxes every quarter instead of putting it towards my monthly payment, and I pay my insurance once a year instead of with my monthly payment. So we're just looking at the mortgage payment, no taxes or insurance. And then what we want to do is then we want to look at that and say, okay, well, how much did we pay in total interest over the 30 years? Okay. All right, so down payment. Is 20% of the home price. So your down payment here is going to be 0.20 times that 400,000. So you're going to have to put down, so you know, to purchase the home, you're going to have to put down $80,000. Okay, and if you need a calculator to see that, you know, you can go 0.20 times 400,000. Yeah, you're going to have to put down 80,000. So how much is the mortgage amount? Like, how much you're going to need to borrow? Well, you know, if you're putting down 80,000, you're not going to have to pay that back. So you're going to take, the home price was 40,000 minus your down payment of 80,000. So you're really only borrowing, but you're borrowing $320,000 for this home. Okay, so that's how much you're going to borrow, all right, which we're going to plug into our equation here. Okay. All right, so we got A, we got B. So now let's find the monthly payment. Okay, let's find the monthly payment. All right, so the monthly payment here. So you've got to remember, P is how much you're borrowing here. Well, you're only borrowing, but you're borrowing $320,000. All right, the mortgage rate going back was 4.5%. Okay, you know, mortgage rates are obviously a lot higher, but you know, this is what it was at the time of recording the videos, roughly. So 0.045. I'm going to make monthly payments. Okay, monthly payments, so that's 12, and I'm going to do it for 30 years. Okay, so my T is 30, and my N is 12. You know, it's a 30-year mortgage. Okay. Very common. Common mortgages are 15 or 30 years. All right, so look, it's just, you're gonna just have to plug and, you know, turn through this equation. So you're gonna take $320,000 times the rate, which is 0.045, divided by 12, all divided by 1 minus 1 plus the rate, 0.045, divided by 12, raised to the minus 12, but then for 30 years. Wow, 30-year mortgage. All right, let's grab our calculator. And please, again, every calculator is a little different, right? So like, you have to make sure that you can get these values using your calculator. So how you plug it into your calculator, might be a little different. So that's why I always say, follow along and make sure you get the same thing. 320,000 times 0.045 divided by 12. So the numerator up here, okay, is just $1,200. So now we got to hop into the denominator here. Okay? So 1 minus, and then in parentheses, 1 plus 0.045 divided by 12. Close the parentheses, but I'm raising that to the minus 12 times 30 power. So my denominator down here, remember, if you're going to just plug this in, you can go out really far, number of decimal digits. So I'm going to go out 6. So 0.740104. So then look, let's figure out what your monthly payment's going to be. You're going to take the $1,200 divided by 0.740104. Okay, yeah, you're paying $1,621.39 for this mortgage. Okay, for 30 years you're doing this. Okay, that's your monthly payment. Monthly payment for 30 years. All right, so the last question asked us, how much are you going to pay in interest over this 30-year loan? Okay. All right, so this is our last part, okay? Part D here. All right, so total interest is equal to the sum of all payments minus the amount you borrowed. All right, because everything you pay over how much you borrowed is interest. So look, you're going to take your monthly payment, $16.21.39. You're making monthly payments, okay, for 30 years, so 12 times 30. Minus, remember, you only borrowed $320,000 here. All right, so let's figure out how much your total payments were. So 1621.39 times 12 times 30. Wow, look at this. Over your 30 years, you paid $583,700.40. So you paid a lot in interest over that 30 year. So when you subtract away how much you borrowed, because you borrowed the $320,000, wow, look at that. You paid $263,740 in interest. Almost as much, almost as much as you borrowed. So in total interest over the life of the loan. So, woof. So make sure, if you can with mortgages especially, if you can, lower the number of years, it really is going to save you a lot in interest in the long run. All right, class. So I know, these formulas are hard, but like take your time. Okay, take your time. Make sure you use your calculator to get the same values I get, and then from there just follow these formulas. And if you have any questions, please let me know.